Hey folks, Eshin Lacoste here at All Wise Transformation, where we talk about mental health, spiritual practice, and self-care. And today I have Reverend Yolanda with me. Nice to see you too, Yolanda. So for folks who don't know, it was a journey for us to get to this point. It was literally about an hour of us, or at least me, figuring out platforms and like microphone, and then when we finally it's a journey. Thank you, Yolanda, for sticking with me through that process.
Of course. Always. It's always a pleasure to be with you.
So for folks who don't know who you are, do you want to give a quick introduction for folks who don't know who you are?
Sure. Yeah. Hi, everybody. I'm Reverend Yolanda. I am a trans femme, gender queer, singer, songwriter, and interfaith non-dual minister. That's a mouthful. I, I like to give all that up front so people aren't like, what, who, like, da da da. And so there may be question about what I call trans femme genderqueer, but that's my own personal description. So what I mean by that is I am a feminine person in nature, in my heart, in my mind, in my soul. However, I live in a body that was proclaimed male at birth, which I haven't done any alteration to. So that's what I mean by the gender queer aspect. And so I'm also a singer-songwriter and interfaith minister, interfaith non-dual minister, which has been my spiritual path, really. I mean, writing songs, being a musician and artist, these are my paintings behind me, has been my spiritual path, which has led me to a deeper and deeper understanding of who I am authentically, So
And for folks who don't know, you have a YouTube channel where you do some minister and some singing, right?
I do. So it's youtube.com/Rev Yolanda, REV Yolanda, no period, just REV Yolanda. Yeah, so I invite you. I do my podcast every Sunday night at 5 p.m. Eastern time.
And you do it live, right?
I do it live, yeah.
Yeah.
And then I edited out the mistakes and the mumbles and all that and put it on YouTube, yeah. In my program, I usually share from a book called A Course in Miracles, which is sort of my mainstay. That's Glenn and I, my late husband, Reverend Glenn, and I picked that up together when we first started dating in 2004. And we just fell in love with it together, and that's what led us to go to seminary together and start our church in New York called, at that we called it Church with a 2-drink minimum.
Which I've always wanted to go, and I was never, because you were in New York and I'm here in Vermont, and so
Yeah.
it was definitely yeah.
Yeah.
I have to say that I did see your YouTube chapter 17, forgiveness and the holy relationship section. So that was really, really good.
Oh, thank you.
Really good stuff on there, which was like I had to write this down because I was eating while I was like listening to it at the same time.
Wow, thank you, Eshin.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it was definitely a good segment, and I think there were some folks on who were also like you were
Yeah.
communicating with, and
Yeah. Yeah, we try to do a little. So how my church evolved. Well, me and Glenn, so we started this church and then COVID hit, right? And then we joined forces with an online church that was already in existence, and that's called Awakening Together. So I still continue, and then Glenn passed away in 2024, but I still continue our time slot in the sanctuary. We call it the Awakening Together Sanctuary. But that's a non-dual church that was started. It's female founded, female led. There's lots of queer folk and straight folk. So it's a mix up of, of all kinds of walks of life. It's people from all over the world. So it's really quite wonderful. It's a wonderful platform. So in my podcast, I usually deliver a message from A Course in Miracles brief history. We have also a Wednesday night ACIM group that I do not in the sanctuary, but just by invitation, which you're invited to come to anytime you want. Um, and we study A Course in Miracles, the text, through these booklets that Glenn has made throughout the years. And he would take a piece of the text and do it. They were really, really he would put images in them and help explain the text of A Course in Miracles a little more clearly. Sometimes A Course in Miracles be a deep dive into language that can, if you're not on the same page, can sometimes be triggering, or because she uses what we would think of as Christian language, kind of like King James sort of language, and that triggers people a lot of times. And so, but it's a good thing, because then if we stick with it, we sort of get over our triggers around words like atonement or salvation and forgiveness and stuff like that, So that's why, in the sanctuary, when I'm broadcasting on Sundays at 5, I try to foster discussion, if people are, I don't get that, because a lot of times people say, oh, I want to read A Course in Miracles, and then they throw it across the room because the language is dense sometimes.
Yeah. I'm because I want to listen to you, but I was also trying to like remember what you were talking about in that particular segment.
Cool.
Because it was Glenn's booklet, A Course in Miracles, chapter 17, and Calling for Faith.
God, yes, I remember that.
Because I think you posted it about like two days ago, 3 days ago.
Yeah, it was the beginning of this week. Yeah.
Yeah, and there was like some really good nuggets in there in regards to how to approach faith and how to sort of like
Yeah.
view it differently. You're right. I will have to admit, like some points, not when you really got into the meat of it.
Yeah.
Some points I was like, ooh, that, like that sort of triggered me.
It's touchy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think personally, I think any sort of deep esoteric teaching is that way. I mean, so like if you read Nisargadatta or a lot of the Eastern masters, and then a lot of times in some of their books, they'll have a transcript of the questioner asking questions, and then, the guru or the sage answering those questions. They can be very obscure sounding to the mind, to the ego, right? So that's why in a lot of times in those books, you get, the questioner getting angry, like, you didn't answer my question, like, what does that mean? That's not helpful, that kind of stuff. And then, of course, the sage, the guru, he'll be like,